Mads is on the streets of Melbourne this morning and she joins us now. G'day, Mads. Can you talk us through this?
Lisa, I've got a bit of a high and some lows for you because the latest data that we have out from CoreLogic just today shows that rents have increased for 36 straight months across Australia. The pace of the rental increase is slowing somewhat, but in places like Sydney, for example, their rents still went up by 17% on average for units in the last 12 months. And that coincides with availability being incredibly tight at record lows, 1.1% availability across the national capitals. The reality of that means that people are desperate. People are sleeping in their cars, people are couch surfing, people are paying completely unaffordable amounts for their rent. Let's have a little bit of a chat now because I'm to Tiffany Sassafras. Tiffany and her son Sonny join us now from Brunswick, where we are in Melbourne. We're in a place called Nightingale, which is a not-for-profit housing provider. And Tiffany, this has really given you your first stable housing that you've had in a couple of years. Tell us about what your rental experience has been like for the last couple of years.
Well, I've been couch surfing, friends, family. I moved from Northern Rivers to Gold Coast to Brisbane to Melbourne, applied for hundreds of houses, couldn't find anything. Moved to Melbourne to be closer to family, thought it would be, big city, find accommodation, ended up in emergency housing through an organisation called Juno, who put me to Vincent Care and then to Women's Property Initiative, I've now got this amazing apartment that I've been in for almost a year.
And it's a beautiful apartment. You live here with Sonny. You've got a great view out over the city, beautiful, warm and cosy, all very eco-friendly, carbon neutral, which is great. The reality is that so many people can't find this kind of accommodation. What was it like when you were struggling for so many years to try and find an affordable rent?
It was quite stressful, but I have quite a happy sort of nature, and I started doing some sound healing, which helped me. So I studied and started a small business doing sound healing, art workshops and creative gatherings for women and children. So while I was couch surfing, I've been doing that as well.
So you've found the positive and all kudos to you for absolutely doing that. Sonny, tell me what it's like now having a place of your own.
It's good.
What was it like when you were so insecure for those couple of years, really struggling to find somewhere to live?
It was a bit odd.
Odd? What do you mean?
Yeah. Can't really explain it.
Yeah. Let's bring in Lucy Sims, who is from the Women's Property Initiative. Lucy works with women across Melbourne, helping them to find affordable housing. Just explain what the Women's Property Initiative is and what you've done here for Tiffany.
Yeah. So Women's Property Initiatives is a not-for-profit community housing provider, Victorian community housing provider, and we provide long-term affordable homes to women and children who are at risk of homelessness.
Which is a growing cohort, we know. How dire is the situation out there for women and children?
It's very dire. The stats, which is why women's property initiatives exist. So unfortunately, the gender inequity that we see, we are cohort specific for, and that's why we work with families like Tiffany and Sonny to help get them to create new beginnings in their communities and provide them with quality housing like we're in today.
Now, this is an affordable home, Tiffany, which means that you only pay 30% of your income, is that right?
That's right,
okay.
yeah.
How scalable is this kind of a solution for what we see as the huge rental crisis in Australia, or can this only really work at a small scale, Lucy?
Well, I guess this is the trouble at the moment. We really need to see massive investment from both government and the private sector, and we need them to work together because the scale is enormous. At the moment, we have approximately 68,000 households on the Victorian Housing Register at the moment.
Waiting for public housing.
Waiting for affordable, social and affordable housing. So that's the scale of the issue. So we really need supply for more housing right across the board and across Australia. It's not just Victoria.
This is the challenge that is facing governments across Australia, the federal government, state governments. There is a target to build 1.2 million homes across Australia over the next 5 years. That is going to be a real challenge, but you can see here from Tiffany and Sonny why it is so important to have affordable, welcoming and available homes for rent in Australia.
Thanks, Mads.
bit later on in the show. Let's get more now from South Australia, where workers in schools and Adelaide